Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending our webinar today, Free Tax Preparation for Persons with Disabilities. I'm Jamie Robinson, Manager of Financial Empowerment and Workforce with National Disability Institute. And before we get started today, I would like to turn it back over to my colleague, Nakia, for a few housekeeping tips.
Thank you, Jamie. The audio for today's webinar is being broadcast through your computer. Please make sure your speakers are turned on or your headphones are plugged in. You can control the audio broadcast via the audio broadcast panel, which you see here below. And if you accidentally close this panel or if the sound stops, you can reopen the audio broadcast panel by going to the top menu, Communicate, and choosing Join Audio Broadcast. If you do not have sound capabilities on your computer, or if you prefer to listen by phone, you can do so by dialing the toll or toll-free number you see here and entering the meeting code. Please note that you do not need to enter an attendee ID. Real-time captioning is provided during this webinar. The captions can be found in the Media Viewer panel, which appears in the lower right-hand corner of the webinar platform. If you'd like to make the Media Viewer panel larger, you can do so by minimizing some of the other panels like chat or Q&A. And conversely, if you do not need the captions, you can minimize the Media Viewer panel. We will have time for questions at the end of the webinar. Please use the chat box or the Q&A box to send any questions you may have during the course of the webinar to either Katie Metz or to me, Nakia Matthews, and we will direct those questions accordingly during the Q&A portion. If you are listening by phone and not logged into the web portion, you may also ask questions by emailing them to Katie directly at kmetz@ndi-inc.org. Please note this webinar is being recorded and that the materials will be placed on the NDI website at www.realeconomicimpact.org. If you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, please use the chat box to send me, Nakia Matthews, a message, or you may also email me at nmatthews@ndi-inc.org.
Great. Thanks, Nakia. We'd also like to give a special thank you to our sponsors for today, the Walmart Foundation and Accorda Therapeutics. We certainly appreciate all of their support in all of the work that we do. There we go. So again, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar. As I said, I'm with National Disability Institute, and I've been a project manager for MyFreeTaxes for over the past about 2.5 years now. I've been with NDI for just about 8 years, and much of the work I have done has been around employment and financial stability for individuals with disabilities. I've spent some time in the public workforce system working there, and also quite a bit of time in the deaf and hard of hearing community, mostly with American Sign Language users. And I'm also a disability benefits counselor. I worked primarily with deaf and hard of hearing beneficiaries of SSI and SSDI under the Ticket to Work. On a local level, I'm very involved here in Boston, where I live. And yes, the snow is way over my head right now, but I work closely with the Tax Help Coalition, especially around the disability and accommodation pieces, as well as expanding opportunities for deaf and hard of hearing community. So that's a little bit about me. In terms of National Disability Institute, we are a national research and development organization with the mission to promote income preservation and asset development for persons with disabilities and to build a better economic future for Americans with disabilities. NDI is the first national nonprofit organization dedicated exclusively to building a better economic future for Americans with disabilities. We do have a home office in Washington, D.C., where Nakia is currently, but many staff also work remotely, such as myself and my colleague, also on the webinar today, who lives in sunny, warm Jacksonville, Florida. I'm jealous. So some of you on the line today may be familiar with NDI's Real Economic Impact Network. We launched the Real Economic Impact Tour, which was a national initiative that revolves around collaboration and full participation of people with disabilities in the economic mainstream. And today, NDI has expanded this and renamed it the Real Economic Impact Network. And we offer training and technical assistance, resources for tax coalitions in serving taxpayers with disabilities, as well as access to other work that we do around financial education, asset development, a lot of work around benefits and employment. Currently, we consist over 900 partners across the country, and I would definitely encourage you to join. There's a link here at the bottom of the slide, so be sure to download the PowerPoint and visit the site and join the movement. So here's the agenda for today. We're going to talk about the existing free tax prep options, both in-person and self-preparation, have a little bit more of an overview and background of MyFreeTaxes, and we'll touch on how the U.S. Department of Labor's Disability Employment Initiative, or DEI, really has helped to open doors to MyFreeTaxes in the workforce system, and also open doors to more taxpayers with disabilities accessing free tax prep. My colleague Katie Metz will talk more about how we initially connected with veterans and how we're continuing to expand partnerships with the veteran community to increase not only the uptake of free tax prep with veterans, but also to really look at it as a bridge to introducing other financial strategies to veterans. And finally, we will talk about how you all, whether you represent a disability agency, a VITA site, a community-based or faith-based organization, maybe a federal partner, can incorporate free tax preparation into your services today, right after the webinar. So realizing that there may be participants today on the line from the free tax community, maybe you're a VITA site, maybe you're a MyFreeTaxes site, maybe you're an IRS representative. You all certainly know this next section of information better than me, but we really can't talk about free tax prep options for individuals with disabilities without sharing this key information on free in-person tax preparation. And as someone who has not been in the tax world for as long as some of you out there, as long as some of my colleagues, I can definitely say that there are just huge amounts of people and organizations and federal systems like the public workforce system, like the veterans community, and also largely the disability community, and certainly the deaf and hard of hearing community, that is really completely unaware of these resources still and don't know how to access it with or without supports. So here we have VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, and it offers free tax help to people who make $53,000 or less, to people with disabilities, to elderly, to people with limited English speaking. And they have basically IRS certified volunteers that provide free basic income tax return preparation with electronic filing to qualified individuals. And I've kind of continually been blown away by the number of volunteers that go through this training and provide this volunteer service every year. In Boston, just last week, we had to change our EITC event to the next week because of the snow, but we did have it. And it was reported that we have over 300 certified volunteers this year for VITA across the city. And I mean, that just blew me away. For me, it was a big number. And the certification process, certainly not easy, maybe for some accounting folks, students, but really amazing the skill set that these volunteers have and bring to the table. And if you're representing a disability or community-based organization today or other programs, and you want to know what would be the experience if you refer someone with a disability to a VITA site, I mean, it would be different, right, from site to site. And of course, the level of accommodations needed would largely vary. However, many VITA sites and more populated regions are part of coalitions, and they have disability agencies represented. again, as an example in Boston, we have a disability coalition branch. We then have another deaf and hard of hearing task force, and these groups kind of tackle issues around VitaSites providing accommodations, the policies, procedures. They plan disability awareness trainings for the volunteers. They work to coordinate the sharing of resources, of funding across agencies to ensure the accommodation costs are covered, especially around sign language interpreters. They may put on events together, and there are lots of other ways that the tax and the disability communities come together. And if your region doesn't have something like that in place, there are definite things that we can recommend. We'll be talking about something later called tax access, which is really an immediate support or resource to any kind of accommodation dilemma that a VitaSite might have. And we could also at NDI help your region to work towards building that type of coalition. So you'll have our contact information after. We could talk more about that. And you may have heard before TCE, Tax Counseling for the Elderly, and that offers free tax help for all taxpayers, particularly 60 years of age or older, specializing in questions about pensions and retirement. Again, you still have IRS certified volunteers who provide tax counseling, and they're often retired individuals that are associated with nonprofit organizations that do receive grants from the IRS. So how would you find your nearest VitaSite or your TCA? And so here are kind of two ways you could do that. I use the Vita Locator all the time to try to find a location near somebody across the country. So you have that link there, or you could call. They typically are located in community or neighborhood centers, libraries, schools. I think the ones in the shopping malls tend to get a lot of traffic, the ones I've seen, and other convenient locations across the country. There will be some of you that don't have VitaSites nearby. I just helped somebody in South Dakota try to find one nearby, and we couldn't do it. So they're going to do MyFreeTaxes instead, and so we'll talk a little bit more about that. And here are just two of the many resources that the IRS offers on their website. It's really a wealth of information and really kind of easy to find things that you need, believe it or not. So these are just two recommended materials for taxpayers to review before they would go to a VitaSite for an appointment. You have the publication that lists what VitaSites will prepare. This is what we'll do. This is what we won't do. And then, of course, you have a list of what to bring. So we'll switch gears now to free online self-preparation. And before we do, just to note that there are many VitaSites that offer both in-person tax prep and online self-preparation. And it typically works well for VitaSites that see a lot of traffic. So some taxpayers may be willing to sit down and file for themselves instead of wait. Some may not because they went there to have their taxes done, so that's what they want. But it does exist, and it is successful for certain regions. We do also have another model called Facilitated Self-Assist, or FSA, and you don't need to remember that. The important thing about that is it's basically a free tax model in which you have a VITA certified tax coach available to support you while you file online yourself. So the MyFreeTaxes Partnership is funded by Walmart Foundation. It's a partnership that includes United Way, Worldwide, National Disability Institute, and Goodwill Industries International. Over the past 5 years, NDI has worked very closely and very collaboratively with these partners towards, the whole goal, assist millions of working individuals and families in the low to moderate income range to increase their financial stability. And we've helped folks claim more than $10 billion, and many of you have helped folks claim more than $10 billion in refunds over these past 5 years, going on 6. It's pretty significant. MyFreeTaxes.com is the only free online platform for eligible taxpayers covering all 50 states and Washington, D.C. And finally, there's always been an emphasis in MyFreeTaxes by all the national partners, not just NDI, on reaching underserved populations. So women, young families, veterans, low to moderate wage workers, and of course, taxpayers with disabilities. And so here's a snapshot that demonstrates kind of how far this initiative has come since it started. In 2009, you have thousands of returns were filed, millions were received in federal funds, and over the past 5 years, MyFreeTaxes has helped 7.8 million taxpayers receive more than $10 billion in tax refunds. Wow. Millions saved in paid preparation at the start, and 5 years later, we have a total of $1.5 billion saved in preparation fees. And during that same 5-year time frame, the number of eligible taxpayers claiming disability that filed for free at VITA sites has more than doubled, while interestingly, a 19% that jumped there of people with disabilities have self-filed on MyFreeTaxes. So that's an interesting statistic we have, percentage. So who's eligible? Well, you have to have an income less than $60,000, and that's adjusted gross income for 2015. You need a functional email address, a valid Social Security number or ITIN, no foreign income, which is not real common. And then we have here computer aware. And so in terms of computer aware, you will hear some different perspectives on this. Some will say that if a taxpayer can text on their phone, they can keyboard to file on MyFreeTaxes. And others will say, well, I think people really need a little bit more solid basic computer or keyboarding skills. So I will mention I work closely with one of our sites, MyFreeTaxes workforce sites in Louisiana. This is their second year. They have continually reported, pretty low level of computer literacy, yet they've had a really nice uptake of MyFreeTaxes. So I think that can vary, that computer aware. So MyFreeTaxes for taxpayers with disabilities. I mean, a person with or without disabilities first kind of needs to fall into that ideal filer criteria. But the great thing about MyFreeTaxes is that an individual with a disability that uses any adaptive equipment on their computer, their own computer, can use it just as it is to file themselves independently. So that's definitely a plus. One area that we just enhanced on the software was the CAPTCHA. We listened to the feedback out there from screen readers and now do have the audio CAPTCHA. And this is a testimony from a gentleman who happens to be blind. He also happens to work at a VITA site, so he's very familiar with tax software, and he says audio CAPTCHA is available and understandable, and it is quite clear. There are some of us who just ask for sighted assistance and move on, and others who think if there's a bump in the road, the whole thing's a wash. MyFreeTaxes is, as far as I can tell, completely accessible this year. I've had no problems navigating anything. It's easier to find things. I'm very pleased, and I know our taxpayers will be too. Wow, it's a great testimony. And now, I'm sure, there may be individual differences between different screen reading software that people use or computer setups, but that was a great feedback to hear. And so here is, I think, one of the biggest critical support pieces of MyFreeTaxes. And if there's not a tax coach model in place, this is how filers and you all as potential partners can participate in this and can promote MyFreeTaxes to individuals who are not familiar with self-preparation. Or if you're in a region without VITA, that it doesn't exist nearby. It's the Helpline. And this is like basically having a tax coach on the line as you encounter any questions about your filing or about the software. And we just, over the years, have had continually great positive feedback on the Helpline. And so this is really a huge piece of the puzzle to promote MyFreeTaxes. So all customers using MyFreeTaxes.com are supported. The hours of operation here are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday. It's staffed by select 211 centers and IRS certified volunteers. Has email support available 24/7 with 24-hour response. And there's also chat support available during the hours of operation. So our United Way Worldwide partners oversee the Helpline, and it is just a real critical part to the program. So let's kind of turn to the impact and talked a little bit about the national, you saw the national reports and over the years what the impact has been. Now we're going to kind of look to what NDI focused in on the impact. So in addition to working with United Way and Goodwill, we have focused efforts on a few key federal partners, and that's the workforce system, and then Katie's going to talk more about the veterans partners. But since 2013, we partnered with select workforce regions to integrate MyFreeTaxes, both with and without a tax coach. And in terms of how we selected those regions, some of you may or may not have heard of the U.S. Department of Labor's Disability Program Navigator Initiative. This was instrumental in improving the access and participation of people with disabilities in workforce. The Disability Employment Initiative, DEI, continued this work, but with an added asset development component. And so as part of that work, disability resource coordinators in select regions that chose to have asset development as a part of their grant were charged with implementing financial capability or asset development strategies. And so we approached these regions, and they were really happy that we did because they were looking for ways that would be a match for them. And so DEI really helped open the doors for these workforce centers to serve as MyFreeTaxes pilots. What we've learned is that once these centers really understood free tax preparation and the impact for their customers, for their staff, the second year they came back, their return numbers doubled or tripled. So once they got kind of over the hurdle of, we've never done anything like this before, we've never integrated free tax preparation before, then it really took off. Collectively, all of the job centers outreached 40,000 people. The surveys that we collected showed that more than 80% of filers felt empowered to file their own taxes the next year, really high. Also showed 20% of MyFreeTaxes workforce online filers reported a disability. So this percentage is honing in on just the workforce centers, and that was a pretty high number. And the job centers were really proud of that because they had been doing a lot of work with these disability employment initiatives over the years, and it really showed that customers with disabilities were using their centers and were coming in for services. What we did was NDI and the IRS worked together to assist the job centers to recruit certified tax coaches. And this was very effective in the beginning because they had space for a coach, they had computers to use for self-prep, but they also had to have this tangible resource that they could go to for questions, start to understand what this was all about, and then, of course, witness the impact. So, you know, it's not an easy model to pull all the pieces together at the start, but once you get it going, it's a great one for new partners to really grasp the importance of this resource. And so here are just a few of our findings from the workforce centers that participated in the pilots. They reported that MyFreeTaxes helped support low-income individuals, their vulnerable populations, and individuals with disabilities. The next one was a big one for them. It allowed customers to save money and remain focused on training, skills rebuilding, and employment goals. That was huge for them because they weren't as stressed around the taxes. They saved money. They maybe got a lot of money back. They brought in new people. MyFreeTaxes brought in new people to learn about the job services, and that's really important for a lot of job centers. It shifted the importance of financial stability to the forefront, which a lot of workforce investment boards that set the policy and procedures for job centers really that's important to them. They're centered on the economic improvement, and MyFreeTaxes really help pull focus to that area. And then MyFreeTaxes also supplemented those partnerships that these workforce centers already kind of were in place or starting to get going with credit unions, financial literacy programs, housing. So those are just a few of the findings. I'm going to turn it over to Katie to talk about what we did with a focus on veterans.
Great. Thank you so much, Jamie. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Wonderful. So as Jamie mentioned, my name is Katie Metz, and I have been with National Disability Institute for about 4 years now. Prior to that, I served as ADA coordinator and disability manager for the City of Jacksonville, Florida, and also worked very closely as we were part of the Military Affairs and Veterans Department. I grew up as a military brat and was a military spouse for many years, so I had somewhat of an interest in the veteran community and saw, as many of us do at National Disability Institute, some of the synergies that came about with the veteran community as well as the disability community. So in our work, which prior to just focusing on MyFreeTaxes, I worked very closely on the REI tour since I began at NDI 4 years ago and worked with many of the coalitions and disability organizations around the country to focus on how we could integrate free tax preparation and, of course, asset development work into the tax coalitions and disability communities throughout the country. So I may have worked with many of you over the years, and through the work that we've done and the expansion that we've done through the network and then through MyFreeTaxes, I worked closely with Jamie on the workforce centers and how we were able to integrate MyFreeTaxes into that work. I tell you that so you kind of see where we came about into our work with the veteran community as well. As we were traveling and visiting on many of the workforce sites, we would also talk to the workforce centers, the Disabled Veteran Outreach Program specialists who work within the American Job Centers to get some feedback as to would MyFreeTaxes be a good fit for the veteran community as we continue to expand our work. We had a lot of positive feedback that Jamie talked about during within the workforce centers and the pilot sites that really helped us see this expansion during the 2014 tax season into that veteran community. And we worked with local and national partners across the country focusing on serving veterans and their families. Millions of veterans and nearly half of all service members returning from recent and current conflicts have some type of disability. So as I mentioned previously, we knew there was a great synergy between the disability and the veteran community, both through our personal and professional experience with staff that has really worked with both communities. We partnered with the IRS through a collaboration with them and the Department of Veterans Affairs, which resulted in the promotion of MyFreeTaxes on their website, va.gov. It was really focused on that carousel as a highlight of free tax preparation options available to veterans and their families. And this really proved to be an effective marketing strategy, given the considerable number of veterans who filed their taxes through the VA's MyFreeTaxes link. They also helped us to identify other partners, including Army One Source, other national partners, as well as local on-the-ground partners throughout the country, where we were able to connect with VA facilities, both healthcare facilities and what we call community resource and referral centers, which are part of the VA system and there to provide resources and services to veterans, both those who are homeless, who are at risk of being homeless, and who are just in need of resources in their community and may not be able to navigate or access those needs through the healthcare facilities. Through those types of connections, in 2014, we were able to select certain veteran programs and integrate MyFreeTaxes with certified tax coaches to really be able to provide for that free tax preparation option to those facilities. With our collaboration through the veteran, the workforce, and IRS, our local veteran partners were identified, and we were able to really implement MyFreeTaxes to help low to moderate income veterans and their families increase their financial stability. Those successes in 2014 led to a renewing and expanding partnership in 2015, where we continued to work with them, IRS and the VA, on how we could integrate resources into the local communities. This year, IRS and the VA are in the final stages of formalizing and signing a memorandum of understanding to ensure free tax preparation is offered to veterans in a variety of ways. NDI and the MyFreeTaxes Partnership, as Jamie mentioned, United Way, Worldwide, Goodwill Industries International, and NDI ourselves, is mentioned in this MOU as a resource to accomplish a 5-year plan to increase free tax preparation resources for veterans and their families. These goals to increase access to free tax preparation are in partnership with VA facilities, veteran-serving organizations, other organizations who may have an interest in how do we serve additional veterans. And this can be accomplished in a number of ways, by providing on-site services such as VITA, through facilitated self-assistance as FSA that Jamie mentioned earlier, or even by simply providing the link to MyFreeTaxes on computers and resource labs, through flyers, through circuit televisions, through notifications and email, etc. Sometimes with limited space and availability of resources, the MyFreeTaxes has proven to be a successful strategy to providing the veteran community with a free tax self-preparation option. The resources and assistance available through the MyFreeTaxes Partnership have made it a truly viable option within the veteran community. We're able to support them through our work and through the work of our partners throughout the country to ensure that veterans have this access. We provide you these scenarios and examples of expansion into the workforce and veteran systems to kind of showcase to you the possibilities of continuing expansion into the disability community as well. So as I mentioned in the last slide, we often see many synergies between our disability and our veteran communities. These findings that I'm about to go over quickly are here to help you understand and to highlight the potential opportunities and successes available within our disability communities as well, should they have an interest in utilizing free tax preparation and MyFreeTaxes as an option. So we learned that within the veteran programs that reported back to us, they were MyFreeTaxes pilots. We had 6 of those in 2014. And they really came back to us with some good insight as to how the program was able to affect the veteran community. It showed us that the majority of individuals and partners that they were working with were really completely unaware of free tax preparation in general, much like the workforce system. And so this was an opportunity to educate individuals, not just the veterans and the community partners, but also the staff that we worked with about what free tax preparation was, that it was an option for individuals, and how it could expand opportunities for individuals. We found it was a very easy, cost-effective way to expand veteran services, produces benefits such as reduced lengths of stay in transitional housing and long-term stability in work, we had a couple of sites that shared with us that they found that when, free tax preparation as a gateway to conversation about financial education, or that refund that they were receiving back, was able to really help them in their long-term work in order to stabilize veterans as they moved out of either transitional homes or into employment. Many of the same kind of findings we found within the Workforce Center, and I think could transcend into many of the different communities that we work with. We also found that it supported veterans who may be, or I should say, are often a target of fraudulent practices. We often find that our military service members, families, veterans are often targets. And so this gave them a free, reliable, safe resource that they knew that they could trust, both through our partnership and through the support of the Department of Veterans Affairs and the IRS. They were more comfortable with utilizing this service, and it gave them an outlet to be able to access free tax preparation service without feeling like they may be taken advantage of, and so it kind of overcame some of those fears. It also really gave a number of veterans a feeling of empowerment with their computer skills, allowing them to know that they could do this type of work on their own. With all that being said, how can you get involved in free tax prep now? So we've talked about success strategies thus far in promoting free tax preparation through our work and the work of our partners. And as many of you, as we mentioned, know, we have worked for many years through our REI Tour partnership with our Asset Building Coalition members, along with our disability community members. And of course, as mentioned earlier, we continue this work through our REI network. We're working very closely with MyFreeTaxes in 2015 to do a number of things. So if you're a disability organization, if you're a community partner, if you're a tax coalition, an employer, or really anyone interested in how can we expand opportunities in your local community, and those are the specific interests within the disability community as well, we're going to tell you a few ways that you can do that. So one way, especially if you're located in one of our NDI anchor regions, we'll talk about anchor regions. What we did was we decided to expand our model. As we mentioned, in 2014, we had several veteran pilot sites. In 2013 and 2014, we had several workforce sites. So in 2015, in order to expand our footprint, we decided to take 10 of our top sites, cities, that had become somewhat of experts in this field and had learned from the experience they had over the last year or two, and make them what we call anchor. Those anchors were selected, and so in those areas, in those cities that we had worked, we decided to expand them into regional models. So taking those 10 cities, we put them together to make them workforce and veteran programs, serving a number of partners within the community. So those anchors are tasked with not only promoting MyFreeTaxes and offering MyFreeTaxes within their organizations, but also with expanding MyFreeTaxes opportunities to their partners. So what does that mean? So for example, we might ask one of our workforce anchors to reach out to veteran organizations, disability organizations, their local United Way, their Goodwills, tax coalitions that are working, employers in the area that they are already working with through other programs and services, to work with them to promote MyFreeTaxes as well in potentially several different ways. They could do that through finding out more about how do they become a VITA site, or how do they become a site which we would work with our local IRS spec reps to recruit and train what we call a tax coach who is certified through the Link and Learn IRS process as well, and really assist individuals in going through the process of doing free self-tax preparation on their own, utilizing MyFreeTaxes. Another way is simply by sharing MyFreeTaxes with their partners and telling them, here's another way to get out the word through flyers, through social media, and just kind of bringing those partners that they're already working with on board to promote links to MyFreeTaxes and other resources available. We also are looking at recruiting other partners. So as I mentioned in the beginning, if you're a disability organization, community partner, tax coalition, and you're located first in one of our 10 anchors, and I will mention those 10, and you can always contact one of us for additional information as well. But those include Oneonta, New York, Shreveport, Louisiana, Glendale, California in the LA area, Arlington Heights, Chicago area of Illinois, the entire state of Alaska, the Nashville, Tennessee region, Jacksonville, Florida region, the Washington, D.C. area, the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, Detroit, Michigan, and then we're also working very closely with the Boston, Massachusetts area to expand that region potentially as well. So if you're already in one of those areas, we could certainly work with you, if you're not already doing so, to connect with one of our anchors on how you can utilize MyFreeTaxes as a free tax prep option, either through cross referrals, simply utilizing the link, or connecting with one another to expand the partnerships that are available. If you're not in one of those anchors, that's okay too. We can also are going to give you some information about how you can join the MyFreeTaxes network, and we can connect you either with local partners through United Way or Goodwill or other individuals providing free tax preparation options, or find ways that you can go ahead and promote MyFreeTaxes on your own with just support from our national team. So with that, how do you join the MyFreeTaxes network, regardless of whether you fit into any of those categories? So as you can see, you can register on the new affiliate portal, which is kind of a fancy name for a website that we've created that is MyFreeTaxes portal that allows individuals to go on, register. It's open to any partner who would like to access the information. You'll go through a quick registration process, which pretty much just gives us your contact information so that we can send you newsletters if you request them, and also certifying that you're using MyFreeTaxes as a free tax preparation option for individuals in accessing these resources. So as you can see, you can go online. The link is here available. We can also provide that to you through the chat box as well. But it's affiliate.myfreetaxes.com. Once you go on, there's a short registration process. If at any time you have any difficulties with that process, you can contact Jamie or myself, or you can contact the partnership at partners@myfreetaxes.com. So here are an example of several great tools and resources you'll find on the affiliate portal. So we have a number of marketing collateral that's available on there. We have social media posts. So those posts include Facebook posts, tweets, all kinds of great information that is pre-written for you to go ahead and download. They're not only pre-written, but many of them are written with timing to give you a strategic times in which you can utilize these posts and tweets during the tax season, for example, when the tax season started, or in the middle of tax season, remember to do your taxes. EIPC Day, as tax season is ending, there's tweets and posts that are developed specifically, to send the taxpayer, if they have not already filed their taxes, to do so now through MyFreeTaxes through a free option. There are print materials available, both customizable and non-customizable, so you can download flyers to pass out or to send electronically in a PDF format. You can also customize those to add your own logo or to add your location information should you offer a tax coach as an option or a VITA site, and you want to promote MyFreeTaxes as an additional option to the services you're already providing. There are public relation materials, infographics. All you have to do is download these infographics, place them on your website, newsletters, blogs, social media, any other digital channels that you might have to promote MyFreeTaxes. So all you have to do, once again, is click on those and download them. We have videos available, best practices and success stories, some of which came directly from the regions and pilots that I shared with you earlier today, as well as from some of our core partners nationally. Some of you who may already partner with MyFreeTaxes, your success stories might be there as well. We have newsletters And I mentioned earlier, if you register for the portal, you have the option to opt into those newsletters, and you'll receive those about on a bi-weekly basis. And they get a lot of great information and news on how to promote MyFreeTaxes and be successful with free tax prep. They notify our partners of items such as the Tax Time Thursday calls and information that's available on the portal. As I mentioned, these are bi-weekly calls hosted by the MyFreeTaxes Partnership, and they share updates and resources from our partners on various topics, providing an opportunity for questions about MyFreeTaxes. Some of the topics that we might have on those bi-weekly calls for Tax Time Thursday was veteran awareness, marketing of MyFreeTaxes, volunteers. The next one will be next Thursday at February 19th. They're always at 3 p.m. Eastern. They're about 30 minutes in length and just a great opportunity for individuals to come on and learn more. One of interest might be, for example, right at the end of tax season, we're going to have on April 16th, engaging disability community new partners, which might be relevant to many of our partners on the phone today. We have veteran-specific materials, disability-specific materials. We have what are called playbooks, and we've developed the first in a series, and we will develop additional and post them on the portal. So we do encourage you, once you've registered for the portal, to go back frequently for additional updates, resources, and tools that are posted almost weekly, bi-weekly, especially during tax season, as we have so much going on. The playbooks provide a snapshot of a particular subject, such as choosing a program model for your organization, finding the ideal filer, engaging a variety of local partners, the business sector, the workforce system. There's no particular order that the playbooks are placed in. You just choose one of interest, and we hope that they're a useful tool for you to learn more about how you implement MyFreeTaxes in your community. A lot of individuals are interested. So if you're an organization who's new to sharing free tax preparation options or MyFreeTaxes specifically, we talk about there are filing reports or data reports available on the portal. They will be available very soon, where you can actually track within your zip code, given by IRS regulations that there are not less than 10 within your zip code. So 10 or more, in order to protect tax filer privacy, you can put in a number of various zip codes. You can put in a city, you can define a region, and you'll be able to see how many number of returns were completed in your area, the EITC count, the average EITC, average tax funds, average age. And this, as you're working to promote MyFreeTaxes and becoming a collaborative partner, this would be great information to report back to maybe potentially funders or others that you're engaging in this type of work and you've had a footprint in this as well within your defined city, region, or area. There's also several, I want to mention quickly, there's several live trainings that we did for MyFreeTaxes specifically, and those trainings were recorded and are available on our portal. So if you're just coming into tax season, we're already a couple weeks in and you're thinking, well, I might have missed the boat, we have those trainings available so that you can learn more about what is MyFreeTaxes and how do you navigate the system if you're interested in doing that. So tax access. Jamie talked earlier about, you know, we've really made a commitment to expand free tax preparation to persons with disabilities, both through our MyFreeTaxes Partnership and other free tax preparation options, but also, of course, specifically through National Disability Institute. And we really work to integrate, and we hope you will as well, free tax preparation options, MyFreeTaxes, into your disability organizations or through partnerships with disability organizations that you have in your community. In order to make this integration a little bit easier and a little bit more disability friendly, we have a variety of tools available through our NDI REI network to assist you in this success. I'm going to go over just a few of these tools, which can be accessed through our website, realeconomicimpact.org, and through our REI network, which, as we mentioned earlier, you can join by visiting our website or contacting Jamie, myself, our colleague, Michael Roush, or any of our staff for additional information. And we'd be happy to get you signed up for the network so that you can access some really great tools such as the newsletter, the e-newsletter, webinars like the one we're doing today, and other tools within our toolkit on tax preparation, financial education, asset development, benefits, and much more. One of those great tools that we have is the Tax Access. NDI has a partnership with the Southeast ADA Center for several years now, made possible through funding from our Walmart Foundation to provide the Tax Access Project, which focuses on disability issues related to VITA services, including facility access, program accessibility, customer service. We really encourage tax coalition site coordinators, volunteers, MyFreeTaxes, FSA sites, anyone who's doing tax preparation can utilize Tax Access. In addition to the website we've given here, adasoutheast.org/taxaccess, you also can contact Tax Access through a phone number, 1-800-949-4232. Or if you go directly to the website, you can submit an online form to ask your questions. On that same website, you will find numerous disability issues related to tax preparation services, including publications around ADA Amendments Act of 2008, marketing your VITA site, disability access statements, training resources, such as our disability awareness training, archived webinars, frequently asked questions, items such as, checklists for other materials to help make my tax site accessible, facility access, providing interpreters, all types of great resources that I think many of you would find very helpful. Other items available, I mentioned briefly through both the Tax Access, does a link to our site at realeconomicimpact.org, to our virtual toolkit. One of the items that would probably be very useful to many of our partners, if you've not already utilized it, is our disability awareness training for VITA volunteers. Again, that's found in our virtual toolkit, which provides partners across the country with easy access to many tools and resources for not just free tax prep, but also for asset building coalitions that we can continue to provide an inclusive community of practice for individuals with disabilities. The training is really designed for volunteers, site coordinators, anyone who's providing free tax sites or a service to the many individuals with disabilities across our country. The training is available as a disability awareness, and it goes over things like what is a disability, different types of disabilities, understanding people first language. It's available in PowerPoint, the talking points throughout the slides, or as an e-learning course. Another great area of opportunity within our toolkit that might be of great benefit to many individuals that we work with and our partners is our effective strategies. And many of the top questions were asked or answered in these effective strategies, like how do you select a qualified sign language interpreter? How do you make accommodations for individuals with tax favor and provide information to taxpayers on how do they make accommodation requests? Why we ask the disability question at VITA sites, marketing free tax prep to people with disabilities. One that we hear a lot about is the impact of tax refunds on federally funded public benefits. I really encourage you to look at that effective strategy in particular. So for many of us that are involved in the tax prep field and working with people with disabilities, this will be probably one of the main questions we get asked, is that for those who have asset limits on public benefits, they want to know about the impact of tax refunds on their benefits. And so that's a really great resource for our partners to utilize when they're working with individuals and to get more information that they can share with them on what the impact is and how they can still receive a refund for a certain amount of time without it impacting their benefits. There's also some great ones on diversifying your disability outreach, which identifies key partners that you most likely have within your organization to enhance outreach to disability community members. And then a lot of great disability statistics that you can use as well, whether you are someone wanting to reach out to disability organizations or a disability organization yourself is looking for some stats on what are the impact of providing these types of services to individuals with disabilities. we're running close to the end, so I do want to make sure you guys have our contact information, and then we'll go into Q&A. But as you can see here, my colleague Jamie Robinson and myself, Katie Metz, we're available by phone and email if you have any questions, and would be happy to answer those at any time. For now, we'll kind of go into a Q&A. And with that, I'll have my colleague come back on the line as well. Jamie?
Great, Katie, thanks. So we did have a few questions come in. One is, what does the biweekly call, what do those calls cover in terms of topics? So basically, those are open to any MyFreeTaxes partner, anybody interested in learning more about MyFreeTaxes too. But most of it consists of partners that are promoting MyFreeTaxes. And besides MyFreeTaxes updates and things that we need to share with them as the tax season moves forward and people have questions about various aspects of reporting and data, we do typically bring on other partners to spotlight best practices, right, and marketing and social media with partnerships, maybe different models of MyFreeTaxes, the tax coach model versus the virtual. So we definitely spotlight success strategies. This year, we have a lot more going on with the business community and a lot of success connecting and engaging businesses. They're interested in getting the word out of MyFreeTaxes to their employees. So also volunteer perspectives, I think Katie mentioned too. So kind of a wide variety, but what you would need to do is register on the affiliate portal. That way you'll get this information in newsletters. You'll also get it right on that website. You'll see what time, the call-in number, the topic. So that would be really a step to take, is to register on that portal. Let's see. Okay. I did have a question here that I answered, but I'll just make sure everybody heard. So what is the process to become a volunteer tax coach? We always get that, right, Katie? It's the same as with somebody who would work at a VITA site, okay? So you would either seek out training with your local regional VITA site, and that, do you know how long those trainings are, Katie?
They're self-paced, so they're through the Lincoln Learn system, unless they're taking them through the Tax Coalition, which many of those trainings have already occurred. Or as you were probably going to say, they can also contact their local IRS spec rep, which we could help them do to learn more about how they can become trained as well.
Right. Yeah, I would say it may be too late too. So I was thinking for the future, but yes, there's a Lincoln Learn, and I put up the website on there. I sent it out to all participants, so check that out as well if you're interested. Although I do hear that's a little harder than the in-person training. People tend to like to, you know, go with the coalitions and be able to be in person, but that's certainly another avenue. It looks like we have, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we have another one about, are you able to file tax returns for previous years on MyFreeTaxes.com? And I was just going to say, you actually cannot file previous years. You can only file the current year. If you need assistance with previous years, you can either call the Helpline, which that number I'll also put in the chat box, but it's 855-698-9435. And you can call that number to get information and assistance directly on your tax return as you're walking through MyFreeTaxes.com, or to find a VITA tax site within your local area, or you can find out about areas that are able to do previous year tax returns as well.
Great, and then the next 1, 2, 3 questions all pretty much ask the same thing around where can we access this archive, the presentation, can we access the PowerPoint. So Nikki, is that something you want to go over, or shall we?
We did put it in the chat box that
okay.
now. For today's webinar, you can go to realeconomicimpact.org /resources/webinars.aspx, and there will be a recorded archive of the webinar within about a week.
Yep.
So they can get the recorded webinar as well as the PowerPoint presentation from today.
Great, that was a yes. Okay, with that, I don't think we have any other questions. Do one quick sweep here.
Looks like we're right on time.
I know, who knew? All right, well, thank you everybody for joining us today, and please do reach out if there's a more specific question that you have, or you want to learn a little bit more about how your region, your organization can get more involved. So thanks, Katie. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Nikia.
Thanks, guys, and join us for our next webinar on Wednesday, March 11th at 3 p.m., which is Tools, Resources, and Programs that Make a Real Economic Impact. So we welcome you to join us for that. You'll see the invitation coming out through our news channels, through our REI network, which we again encourage you to join through our realeconomicimpact.org website. And we always thank our sponsors, Walmart and Accorda, for today's webinar. You can find us at, of course, all of our social media contacts, as well as our website, which we've mentioned to you several times today. And we hope that you found today's webinar informative and connect with us, if you have not already done so, on how you can reach more taxpayers with disabilities through MyFreeTaxes or other free tax preparation options. Thanks, everyone.